1. Girls, tell your secret stories about cheating that your husbands and loved ones never found out about.
I've been thinking about this for weeks now, replaying everything in my head over and over. My hands are literally shaking as I record this. My name is Emma. I'm 24 years old, and I live in a quiet little suburb just outside Chicago. What I'm about to tell you is something I never imagined I'd share with anyone, but I need to get it out. About a year ago, I cheated on my boyfriend, and it didn't happen just once. Jake and I had been together for 2.5 years. Everyone thought we were the perfect couple. He was the kind of guy who'd surprise me with my favorite iced latte on a random Tuesday, who'd rub my feet after a long day at work, who'd always say, "I love you," before we fell asleep. He was safe, he was comfortable, but comfort, it can slowly turn into something else. The spark just faded. Our kisses became quick little pecks on the way out the door. Our nights together followed the exact same pattern. Dim lights, the same soft playlist, him on top for 10 or 15 minutes, then a quick cuddle and goodnight. I started lying awake afterward, staring at the ceiling, feeling this deep ache inside. Not just physical, emotional. I wanted to feel desired again. I wanted someone to look at me like I was the most intoxicating thing in the room. I wanted my body to tremble from a single touch. I missed that rush. It all started at our company's big holiday party downtown. I work in marketing, and that night the whole office was there. Open bar, twinkling lights, everyone dressed up. That's when I first really noticed Ryan. He was the new senior designer, transferred from the West Coast office. Tall, maybe 6'2", with dark, tousled hair, a sharp jawline covered in just the right amount of stubble, and these warm hazel eyes that seemed to pull you in. He had this quiet confidence, not loud or cocky, just magnetic. We ended up at the bar together, laughing about ridiculous client feedback and bad coffee in the break room. Then someone suggested we all step out onto the rooftop terrace for some air. It was one of those perfect Chicago winter nights, cold enough to see your breath, but the heaters were glowing, and the city skyline sparkled like diamonds below us. Ryan stood right next to me, so close I could smell his cologne, something woody and masculine that made my stomach flutter. He turned to me, lowered his voice, and said, "You know, Emma, you get this really beautiful flush across your cheeks when you laugh. It's kind of distracting." My heart skipped. Jake had never said anything like that, never made me feel seen in that way. We talked for almost an hour out there, the rest of the party fading into background noise. The next morning, I got a Slack message from him. "Hey, how's the post-party recovery going?" Innocent enough. But the conversation didn't stay innocent. We started texting after work, first about projects, then about music, movies, dreams. He began sending me voice notes in that deep, slightly raspy voice. I'd listen to them on my drive home, windows up, biting my lip at stoplights. One night he sent one that said, "I keep replaying that moment on the rooftop, the way the lights caught your eyes. I really want to see you again. Just the two of us. No office, no crowd." I stared at my phone for 10 minutes. My thumbs hovered. I typed, "I can't," at least 5 times. But eventually, I sent, "Maybe next week?" A week later, I told Jake I was going out for drinks with the girls from work. A little white lie that made my stomach twist. I got ready with extra care. A little black dress that hugged my curves, soft curls in my hair, a touch more makeup than usual. When I walked into the cozy speakeasy bar on the north side, Ryan was already there. Black button-up shirt with the sleeves rolled up, showing those strong forearms. The second our eyes met, the air felt thicker. We sat in a dimly lit corner booth. We ordered wine, a deep red that warmed me from the inside. We talked for hours, about childhood stories, about what we wanted out of life, about how sometimes you just feel stuck. Under the table, his hand found my knee. His fingers traced slow, light circles on my skin. I didn't move his hand away. My pulse was racing. When the bar started closing, he looked at me and simply said, Come back to my place. I should have said no. Instead, I nodded. In the Uber, the tension was unbearable. In the elevator up to his apartment, he finally kissed me. It wasn't gentle like Jake's kisses. It was slow at first, his lips brushing mine, testing, then deeper, hungrier. His hands slid around my waist, pulling me flush against him, so I could feel the heat of his body, the way his chest rose and fell. I melted into him. Inside his apartment, he left only the soft glow of the city lights coming through the large windows. No overhead lights. He took his time with me. Standing there, he slowly unzipped my dress, letting it pool at my feet. His lips followed, kissing my neck, my collarbone, the curve of my shoulder. Every touch was deliberate, like he was memorizing me. My skin felt like it was on fire, in the most delicious way. I was trembling so hard I could barely stand. He guided me to the bedroom, his hands never leaving my body. He laid me down and continued exploring, his mouth moving lower, his fingers tracing patterns that made my back arch and soft sounds escape my lips. I had never felt so completely wanted, so completely lost in the moment. Thoughts of Jake flashed through my mind, bringing a sharp sting of guilt. But that guilt somehow made everything feel even more intense, more forbidden, more alive. We spent hours together that night. He was patient and passionate, switching between slow, teasing caresses and moments of raw hunger. We moved from the bed to the kitchen counter when we got thirsty for water and couldn't wait, then later to the shower, where the warm water cascaded over us while his hands and mouth continued their magic. I lost count of how many times my body shook with pleasure. I moaned his name in ways I'd never moaned before. It felt like waking up after sleeping for years. When the sky outside started turning that soft pink of dawn, I lay there in his arms, breathless, my skin still tingling. I had never felt so sexy, so desired, so woman. The drive home was surreal. I could still smell his cologne on my skin. There was a tiny mark on my neck that I had to carefully cover with makeup before Jake woke up. When I walked in the door, Jake pulled me into a hug and asked with a sleepy smile, "How was girls' night? You look glowing." I forced a smile and said, "It was really fun." Inside, my heart was splintering. Shame, excitement, confusion, all crashing together. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. Over the next few months, Ryan and I found ways to see each other. I became an expert at inventing excuses. Late deadlines at work, emergency yoga classes, helping a friend move. Every time his text lit up my phone with, "I can't stop thinking about you. Come over tonight," my whole body would react. That flutter low in my belly, the way my breath would catch. Each encounter was hotter than the last. Sometimes he'd text me during the day with little hints of what he wanted to do to me later, and I'd spend the rest of the workday distracted, thighs pressed together. At his place, we'd barely make it through the door before clothes started coming off. He loved taking his time, building the tension until I was begging with my eyes. He'd whisper against my ear, his voice low and rough, telling me how beautiful I looked when I let go, how much he loved the way I responded to his touch. Those words alone could push me over the edge. There were quiet moments too, lying tangled in his sheets afterward, talking softly about nothing and everything. For those few hours, the rest of the world disappeared, until the night it all shattered. Jake had borrowed my phone to order food because his was dead. He saw a voice note from Ryan, not the most explicit one, but the tone, the way Ryan said my name. It was enough. When I came home from working late, Jake was sitting on the couch, my phone in his hand. He didn't scream. He didn't throw things. He just looked at me with the most heartbroken, quiet pain I've ever seen and said, "Emma, I thought we were happy. I thought you loved me the way I love you." I couldn't even speak. Tears poured down my face as he packed a bag and left. The silence after the door closed was deafening. Jake and I are done now. We tried to talk once, but the trust was gone. Ryan. What we had was intense, but it was never going to be more than stolen nights. After everything blew up, we drifted apart. The thrill faded once it wasn't secret anymore. I sit here tonight feeling a mix of emotions, deep regret for hurting someone who never deserved it, guilt that still keeps me up some nights. But if I'm being brutally honest with you, I also don't completely regret those months. For the first time in a long time, I felt truly alive. I remembered what it was like to be looked at like I was fire, to have every inch of my skin worshipped, to lose myself so completely in pleasure that nothing else existed. Maybe that makes me a terrible person. Maybe I was just lost and searching for something I couldn't find in my safe, comfortable relationship. I'm still figuring it out.
More stories like this on our channel and via the link in the description, uncensored.